Ahead of Super Tuesday, the former president continued to escalate his recent anti-immigrant rhetoric. In an interview yesterday with a far-right outlet, he likened foreign languages to something from outer space.
We have languages that are like from the planet Mars. Nobody knows how to, speak it. And then these students, and I'm not blaming them, I'm saying they put the students in the place of our students, like in New York City. We have these wonderful students. They're going to school. All of a sudden, they no longer have a seat. They're no longer invited to the school. We're putting migrants in who don't speak the language. They have no idea what the teacher's saying. And we have children that are no longer going to school. They're coming from places unknown, and they're rough people, in many cases from jails, prisons, from mental institutions, insane asylums. Insane asylum, that's Silence of the Lambs stuff. Hannibal Lecter. Anybody know Hannibal Lecter? We don't want him in this country. And terrorists are coming in at numbers that we haven't seen in many, many decades. It's crazy what they're doing. It doesn't make sense. What they're doing is they're poisoning our country by allowing people to come in by the millions.
So, Joe, that mysterious language is Spanish, as long as we're keeping track.
Que pasa, Don?
Yeah.
Que pasa?
And by the way, none of this.
What did he say?
Vamonos.
Oh my God! What is this on my plate? It's called a fajita.
This is
Seriously.
This is not different than his speech when he came down the escalator 9 years ago. This has exactly been the foundation of his presidential runs, and here he is again, now sprinkling in Hannibal Lecter. I know he's made that reference before, suggesting that I guess Central America and South American countries are emptying their insane asylums and sending people north. He suggested now, too, that people are coming from African prisons. If you want a little dog whistle there, too, he's suggesting the kind of people who are coming into our country, in his view, and maybe of his supporters, are not the kind of people we want here.
Yeah, languages from outer space. Again, we said yesterday he's not well. He's not doing well. But again, we bring up Ronald Reagan all the time here, Mike, and we talk about Reagan's farewell speech to America, and Reagan talking about how when we close the door to immigrants, we close the door to America continuing to thrive. Now, listen, I've said it all along. I want immigrants to come here legally. I don't want them to come here illegally. I've always said that. I always will say that. I think we should have more immigrants. I think they should come here legally. But here's the thing, Mike. President Biden had that deal with Senator Langford from Oklahoma, one of the most conservative senators. They had the deal to do exactly that. They had the deal to do what Republicans have been claiming they want done for years. And Donald Trump, right there, the same Donald Trump talking about aliens, the same Donald Trump talking about poisoning the blood of Americans, the same Donald Trump that is saying, oh, we're letting these terrorists in from African jails, these Hannibal Lecters. Well, he's lying, of course, but if we were, just for argument's sake, if we were, the only way they would be getting through now is because of Donald Trump. Because Donald Trump said, kill this bill. It will help Joe Biden if we actually shut down the border, and I'll take the blame. So, Donald, we blame you. We blame you because it's your fault. You said you would take the blame. And so he kills the bill, and then he cynically goes out bitching about how the border's open. Mike, I'm just curious, how many Americans are too stupid to tie those two things together? It's a good question.
I mean, I don't know the answer to that question. I mean, but let's stipulate that immigration is crucial to the future of this country. It's been crucial to our country since its inception. But let's also stipulate that the coverage of things like immigration is skewed. Immigration and the border is a really difficult issue, and it's a problem right now, a problem that needs to be addressed. And as you just pointed out, Senator Langford, along with the cooperation of many Democrats in the Senate and many Republicans in the Senate, came up with a solution. They had a solution. Donald Trump knows it was a solution and said no. We don't want that solution because I want to use it to run against Joe Biden this fall. The other aspect of this was the film clip we showed coming into this segment. And it gets to the way this election and these two men are covered by major newspapers. On Sunday, the New York Times had a front page story about a poll that parts of it were devastating to the chances for Joe Biden to win re-election. On Monday, on the front page above the fold, they had another story about Joe Biden referencing the poll, but again referencing Joe Biden's age. Why is it that they don't cover things that we just saw and heard? A man who is literally losing his mind in front of audiences coast to coast. His name is Donald J. Trump. Why is it that this is not covered in a similar fashion to the way Joe Biden's age is covered? Joe Biden knows how old he is, and Joe Biden does more in 1 hour in a day in the White House than Donald Trump has ever done in his presidency. And Rev, I don't know about you. I hate to criticize print media. I'm a print media guy, but this is out of control.
No, it is out of control, and it's really unfair to the American public, who has to vote on the facts that are presented to them. And when you only give one picture, you're talking about Biden's age when Trump is around the same age. Yeah. And you're ignoring on the front page above the fold the blatant racism, because we're not talking about immigration alone, what Donald Trump is talking about. We're talking about open racism. He's mocking Spanish-speaking people. He mocks Africans. He called several African countries S-hole countries and Haiti. It's always anti-people of color. That ought to be on the front page. And then you have the nerve to let him say, when he has an opportunity to speak of the grandeur and strength of the history of people of color, he goes in front of a black conservative group and say, you like me because of the mugshot I took. You like me because I have all these indictments. So he is running what he entered into politics. He entered into politics on birtherism, denying a black president was born here. Muslim bans. Running on the bias and racism that was always the major part of his campaign, and they will not write about that. They're telling us about one old white man rather than another old white man who has not only lost his mind, but when he had one, it was bigoted.
It's getting more bigoted. I mean, and angry, and the slurring of his words. I mean, on the one hand, a family member should step in. And I mean, this was my family member. I would be taking him to a memory care or something to get help. I'm dead serious, not a joke.
It's really sad.
But also, this is all baked in. We have two candidates that both have served as president. And you mentioned some things that happened during Donald Trump's presidency. I mean, start with Charlottesville, and the list would last the whole show. Whether it's racist things, bigoted things, things he's said and done towards women. In fact, his first trial, the one that people say is less serious, is having sex with a porn star and then using campaign finance funds to pay. I mean, I don't know. I think that's pretty serious. And if you broke the law, then you should be, you should innocent until proven guilty. But if you broke the law, it should be addressed. Everything about this man is shocking. And you have his record of 4 years in office. Take a look at it, because it's telling us that what we're seeing now isn't shocking, but it doesn't mean we shouldn't cover it. It doesn't mean that we should be desensitized and not notice that he looks demented, that he looks like he might be having a stroke, that he sounds especially cruel. We shouldn't ignore this and then go, oh, Joe Biden's old, he walks funny. When a doctor said for years now he's had numbing in his feet or whatever, and it causes this, and that he's got a stutter. We know this. Joe Biden will tell you this. He will tell you this himself. It's not like news. It's not. Has anyone not heard this before about Joe Biden? It's been out there when he ran and when he was president. So we have two presidents and two presidencies to look at. People need to focus.